Oh, Lord, I hope he did not have that on. All right. Sorry for the delay, guys. Jason, he doesn't know what he's doing back here. He's having technical difficulties. I had to cover for him. He got Dave 2.0 back here. Dave negative 2.0. That's what we'll start calling him. Dave negative 2.0. I want to ask y'all to be praying for, y'all know Kelly Runyon, Sully Runyon's boy. Him and that's one of Todd's cousins. They're like brothers. Oh, Kelly was in a hunting accident up in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, and anyhow he was shot with a shotgun, and it had to have been pretty close range. It's hit his chest pretty good. He may have lost his sight in one eye, and he's got some real he had a close call there. Let's just call it that, I guess is the best way to say it. But Todd's going to head up there this weekend and see him. But he had asked us to just be praying for Kelly that the Lord will, help him get through this. And he's in good spirits, and he's looking like things are going to go, as far as recovery goes, it'll be okay. But I know it's pretty heavy on Todd's heart and mind, so just keep Kelly Runyon in your prayers. As Sarah mentioned earlier, the family down there in Carrollton, mother, 3 children passed away in that house fire. I was down there in Carrollton last night at the funeral home, and it was just one house down from the funeral home, and it's pretty somber. There were people that, while I was at the door at the funeral home, I could see people parking, and it was pretty tough to see. They were, overcome with emotion, friends and stuff, I'm assuming, going, and they have little, they're leaving items there, remembrances and stuff. So keep that family in your prayers. It was a mother, 3 kids, the father, and a grandchild. The father was at work, and the grandchild was in the home. I think you all might know about that by now. They were able to get her out of the house. It didn't look good there for a while. They really thought the little girl might not make it. It was a smoke inhalation and such, but she's doing really good. Is what I heard. So keep them in your prayers. That family. I believe the last name Sellers. I think the last name is Sellers.
Well, and then the guy's name is he's a local Carrollton guy, the father.
Yeah, I
It's
can't.
not South. All those people were from Florida, the Panhandle of Florida, down in there.
Yeah. Just keep them in your prayers. I know that's certainly not easy. Definitely not easy for him. But he'll have that little granddaughter. She's 3, so he'll have her to see to and stuff. And I think that might be a good. Well, you know what I mean. A reason to keep on going. So, how's everybody here? Everybody good? Shannon, you good? Sarah, you good?
Keep Steve on your. He's going to have a 17th
Whew.
extracted and they get not home for you.
Well, he might go out on his own.
Well, I think they're going to do it in 3 sections.
Oh, okay. Goodness gracious. It's oral surgery doing that, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to do it in 3 sessions?
Which I guess that would make sense. You can only take, they don't want to cause any more bleeding and such.
Well, you got how many you had now?
At one time, I had all the auto shop.
How many was that?
2.
Everybody's coming in.
No, I think they were 9. It wasn't too many, though. You're right.
Shoo-wee. Yeah, well, keep Steve in your prayers. If y'all know Steve, you know he absolutely loves the dentist. I mean, loves the dentist, the doctor, anything with needles. He loves it. Keep him in your prayers. What else? Anything else going on? We need to be praying about anything else. The ladies' retreats this weekend. I don't know who all in here is going. There's 2 ladies, so I guess it's probably maybe you, 1 or 2 of you maybe are going. Keep them in your prayers. They got a big time this weekend. I'm sure they'll have a great time, great retreat.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of us guys are going to go. I got to go. I got to go down there Friday night, and she asked me to come talk a little bit.
Keep their husbands
That's what you want to do for 3 days.
Lose their voices.
And joy over joy. I've got a fundraising banquet to go to Saturday night for the Pregnancy Resource Center here at General Butler Park. So I'm not going to get any free time. I'll be working. It don't ever end. Don't get old, guys. You get old and all you do is work. Actually, that's not really true. Just get really rich, like Solomon, and you don't have to worry about work anymore. That's a joke. Like what'd you say? Did you hear what he said? He said, like ever. Anything else before we get going here tonight? Anything else? All right, then Elijah, you got the honors.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for this time that we have here together to study your word. We continue to be with everyone on the prayer list and to be with us as we continue to go through our week. And be with Jeremy as he brings us this message tonight. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. We're in 1 Kings 10, 23 through 25. King Solomon excelled all the kings of the earth in riches and in wisdom. What does that mean? I know I asked a question too soon. We usually talk a little bit. What does that mean? To excel all the kings in riches and wisdom. What does that mean, to excel?
It's on top of the top.
Top.
He was the Elon Musk.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm actually going to write that word on the book in parentheses. He's at the very top. So, if he is at the very top, now I don't want anybody watching online, and I know none of y'all to think we're doing some kind of paganism in here or anything, but I'm going to draw a pyramid. You know, man, I might go into business putting lines in parking lots or something. I might be able to get away with that.
You would excel.
I would excel at that, yes. Yes, I would excel. So if Solomon excelled all the kings of the earth in wealth and wisdom, then where would he be on this pyramid? Right at the top. What does it mean to be at the top? Who tells you what to do when you're the boss? Nobody does. Nobody.
Probably one of those 700 wives.
Yeah, that pyramid looks different. Solomon was above all kings. That would make him the King of Kings. Just hear me out. Here, I'm not saying. Remember, this is our. I'm going to put this right here on the corner of the board. This is our base word, key word, whatever you want to call it, anti. Actually, let me go back over here for a second. When I say anti, see, king, what else? Was Jesus a king?
Yes.
He was.
He'd been on the bottom of the pyramid.
Jesus was a king, but not in the sense of flesh, a fleshly king. He was in terms of a spiritual kingdom. What I mean by that is, will Jesus rule the earth for 1,000? Yes, he will. But I want to make sure this gets ingrained in your psyche and your thinking. When you hear me or anyone else that's preaching and teaching correctly about the millennial reign of Christ, yes, he is going to rule and reign for 1,000 years. I intentionally say rule and reign for 1,000 years. Rule and reign for 1,000 years. Every time you hear me refer to the millennial kingdom, I will say Jesus will rule and reign for 1,000 years. Why do I do that? It's intentional. I want to make sure you understand and you have this ingrained in your brain that he only rules an earthly kingdom for 1,000 years. Why? Because this earth, as glorious and wonderful as what Jesus does in our lives is, this earth does not give God the joy, it's not his desire for this earth to continue on forever. A little sidebar, you'll hear a lot of talk, or you've heard a lot of talk about, we've got to do something quick. The earth is going to get really hot and it's going to melt, and the ice caps are melting, but yet the sea level's not changed. And the ice caps are dying off over here, but they're growing over here. There's this talk about the earth is off balance and things are they're going to explode. I certainly don't subscribe to those conspiratorial theories that we call science nowadays, but I do believe that there is an expiration date on this planet.
It's going to melt with further heat.
Yes. Yeah, God is... Think of it like this. I'm trying to think of a really good... Okay, do you all... you might. You've lived in the country, so maybe you will relate to this. I remember my grandfather. He owned a store there in Baghdad, and I don't know why I'm telling you this part, because it has nothing to do with anything, but he used to love to feed the stray animals. That was like his thing. He was Mr. Tough, gruff guy. But if a cat walked by, he'd go, and throw a piece of bacon out there or something. The reason I'm saying that is because the little alleyway, we called it, where the cats and dogs would come, Papa would open up that door and throw the scraps out to them. Right on the other side of that was the fire pit. That's where you'd burn the trash. You didn't take trash from the dump, you burn it. In the 80s, you'd go out there and you'd burn your trash. And, you burned everything. But everything that was in the trash at one time had a use and a purpose. But now you no longer need it, so what do you do with it? You burn it. You get rid of it. If you burn your trash, now of course I know that there might be scraps and remnants left over, but if you set out to burn something, like a matchstick has a purpose, right? It has a purpose, but if the matchstick all burns up, where is it now? It's gone. I'm not saying that God is not going to bring judgment on the earth. There are judgments that come through the course of the period of the tribulation. It's a judgment that comes when Christ returns to the earth and rules and reigns for 1,000 years. You won't have any of this questioning what's true and what's not and trying to decipher what is and what isn't. We will know clearly what is and what is not, what is right and what's wrong, because Christ will come and do away with all that. Can you even imagine or fathom in your mind that you won't turn on the TV and be misled by any information? If there is TV, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to look yet. Not that I'm going to get an email about it. I didn't mean like yet, as in I'll know soon. But to be able to know that what you're hearing is true, not only that what you're hearing is true, but that the one who's in charge is completely and totally incorruptible. Completely and totally incorruptible. That is a judgment. It's in effect a judgment against the kingdoms of this world that are so crooked, and the governance of man that is so wicked. But when God does away with the heavens and the earth as we know it, it's no different than you and I if we were to take our trash out, and maybe that's... I'm not saying this earth is trash. Obviously it has a value. He created it. But it also has a purpose. You don't... all right. Anybody here buy candles just to burn in the house? Yeah, I do. I love candles. I'm weird, man. I think Mason used to hate coming to my office because I burn candles. And he's all like, I don't want those parabens and all that stuff get down in the air. My birds. But I'm like, bro, I love you, but I'm burning my candle. I won't burn it when you're in here, but you don't buy candles to set them on the table and go, that's a pretty candle, let me smell it, and then set it back down. You light that thing. You light it. What's going to happen to the candle? It's going to burn up. Anybody here use air freshener? Eventually that can's going to what? It's going to be empty. You get soap in your sink from Bath and Body Works, and what happens? You spend too much money on it, and then I'm still going to do it, though. I love the smell of those soaps. Eventually you run out. What do you have to? You have to go buy more. Or maybe you get a certain soap or clothes wash and soap, and when it runs out, you say, I don't want that anymore, I'm going to get something else. Regardless, you're going to have to replace what you have. Think about how much time, a lifetime, that people invest in this world that has an expiration date. Jesus didn't come to rule over the flesh, the earth, and the things that we see and know here. He came to build a spiritual kingdom. Remember when he was asked, are you a king? How is you a king? And Jesus says, that's what I'm hearing. You say so. But what does Jesus say? My kingdom is not of this world. His kingdom has no expiration date. But he rules and reigns for 1,000 years. He rules on the earth for 1,000 years. Who rules and reigns with him? We do. We do. Those of us who have received our promise, the fulfillment of our promise, we will be here ruling and reigning with them for 1,000 years. What does that mean? It's temporary. 1,000 years is a long time. The only person that in this church body that has any concept of 1,000 years is Dave. Other than, he ain't even here and I'm picking on him. 1,000 years is just seems unfathomable to us. But to the Lord, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. Jesus did not come to rule over an earthly, carnal, fleshly kingdom. He came to rule over a spiritual kingdom. When you are born again, you're not born again of flesh. In other words, you don't get new or better flesh. You're born of the Spirit. Your flesh will die, but the Spirit will live forever. And you and I will get a new body, a new one, that surpasses the old one, that is eternal. And when we lay our crowns at the feet of Jesus, what we're doing is we're saying to him, you are the one who has given me the ability to have control or reign over my flesh. In other words, we get a new flesh or a new body that's not made of flesh and blood as we know it today. And we don't have the same susceptibility to sin anymore. We can rule over our bodies. Anybody in this room want to lie tonight and say that you are completely and totally in control over your flesh and you don't sin? I haven't sinned since I came to Jesus because I tell my flesh what it's going to do and it listens to me. It's unredeemable. Yes. I woke up this morning with every intention of being perfect like Everett. And I ended up being not perfect like Everett. Solomon excelled all the kings of the earth in riches and in wisdom. You know what he did? He did it, guys. He did it. He got to the very top. He got to the top of the mountain. The very peak, the epoch, you can't get any higher. And what did he find? All is vanity. I don't know why I put another dot in there, just for emphasis. That's what he found.
Elon is very comparable to Solomon.
Yeah, in many ways.
Yeah.
In many ways, yes. He's
Rich and he's
I read today, this year,
got plenty of wine.
debt is going to cross over the $100 trillion.
and not to, and I promise I'm not trying to turn this into some pseudo political conversation. I won't do that, but I'm gonna be a little open with you. Elon is sounding the alarm about that $100 trillion debt. He said, God, this is, yeah, okay, I was trying to think of a fancy, this is nuts. This is insanity. This is nothing short of intentional destruction. And he's, blowing the whistle about that. Now I'm here. Put my hat on here, my tinfoil hat. You got a guy in Elon who's wanting to go to Mars and colonize Mars. Depending on who you ask and who you talk to, you go back to right after the flood. What did they say? We're going to build a tower to heaven to get out of here in the event the earth floods again. We'll go colonize another planet. I don't know if y'all know about occultism and such, but Mars is one of the gods of the Romans and the Greeks, which goes back to Egypt, on back to Babylon, and on back before that, before the flood. So, just a little, what's that?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, just a little creepy something there about building rocket ships to Mars and colonizing Mars. I'm just saying this isn't the first time that concept has been, that concept of a plan has been thrown out there. So, Solomon, he gets to the peak. He does it. And when he gets there, he says, all is vanity. Now, after Solomon, you have the I'm going to call it the rise of the Pharisees. And what is it they want desperately to do? Get back to the top of the mountain. They want to get back up there. Do they not hear what Solomon is saying? No, they won't listen to this. Because this, what Solomon says here, is spiritual. This is spiritual. They won't listen to it. They won't hear it. Why? Jesus says, he tells us why. Jesus says to the Pharisees, you don't know who I am. Because if you knew, you don't know the Father. Because if you knew the Father, you would know me. And the things I say, you don't like them because you can't understand them, because these are spiritual words and you're not spiritual. You are of your father the devil. He is a liar, a murderer from the very beginning. And just like your father, you do the same things. They don't want to hear this. What they want to hear is this. Solomon excelled. How do you know that was the pervasive, preeminent teaching of the Pharisees? What do the disciples say to Jesus when they reference the temple? Hey, Jesus, have you seen this temple? And Jesus is like, hey, guys, have you not talked and listened to me for 3 years now? I've told you.
Just for the ascendant, they wanted to know when he was going to set up his kingdom.
Exactly.
He's not talking about the spirit.
No, they're talking about this. Because that had been ingrained in the brain. Kingdom, we've got to be on top. We've got to rule the world. Fast forward to today. You say foreshadowing. The parallels are unbelievable. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in just a little bit. So we know what that means. Now, the whole earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put into his mind. Every one of them brought his present, articles of silver and gold, garments, myrrh, spices, horses, and mules, so much year by year. What were these people bringing to Solomon? Gifts. Taxes. Gifts. Yes, every time you get paid, you gift Uncle Sam. Right? Every time you get paid, you gift Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam uses that money to do wonderful and incredible things for the community and for the culture, and right? But when you are at the top, you answer to no one. But everyone wants a piece of the pie. Why are they bringing gifts? Why? To move up the pyramid. They're, for lack of a... Now, I'm not going to say nothing bad. Kissing the hand. They're kissing his hand. They want to be in good graces with him. Be in good graces. How do you get in good graces with Solomon? It ain't peanut butter fudge. Silver, gold. Now, this garments, that doesn't mean like pajamas. Garments, these are fine silks. High dollar wares that come from far off. It's like Versace and like for me, Stafford from Penny's. I love JCP. I told them one time, if y'all ever go out of business, I'll go naked. Myrrh. Yeah, hopefully they stay in business. Yeah, that's exactly what they said. Well, we hope we stay in business then. Myrrh, spices. Now, myrrh and spices are all things that come from the earth that are valuable. Anybody here like cumin, or you like pepper, salt? I mean, the spice trade, there were wars fought over spices, man. Wars fought over pepper. Think about that. Wars fought to get pepper into parts of the world that didn't have access to it. Mustard seed. Or mustard, not mustard seed. But horses and mules, what do you do with horses and mules? Work. Industry. That's the AI or the tech of that day. You had horses and mules. They brought so much year by year. What that means is they had exact amounts they were bringing him. There were dollar amounts figured into this. It is like taxation. And who is paying this tribute to the king? Everybody underneath. So when I said a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, that I believe that Solomon controlled the world, you see why I say that now? I think he did. Completely. From Tarshish to the ends of Asia, he controlled the whole network. He was the one manipulating the market. Let me ask you a question. Is anybody here, do you all know what tapes are? Cassette tapes? Yeah, I know. I'm like, do you?
I know what 8 tracks
Do you know what I heard somebody say that? They said, do you want to know why middle-aged men today are so grumpy and so unhappy? They had to replace their cassette tape collection with CDs. And they had to replace all of their CDs with MP3s. And now they have to pay a subscription every month service to listen to the music that they once had on cassette. That's why. Well, that's what I was going to say. Go back to records. I don't know how you get music on a record. Blows my mind. I have no concept of how that happens. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I have no. I'm out. Then you're going to put on a little piece of almost like thick cellophane paper. Like, dude, you can't even see anything. How can you hear on it? You talk about blowing somebody's mind. When I'd get in my dad's truck and I'd pull out his Elvis gospel album, and I'd look at that 8-track, and I'd be like, man, I don't even know how that dude's in there. How do they do this?
Yeah, Jeremy, have you seen where they print the whole entire Bible on a little jewel that's this big,
Oh, yeah.
wearing a necklace?
Yes, I can't. You got me. It's out of my league. I can't. I don't even want to think about that. It hurt my brain. When I got the first CD, I remember the way it smelled. I remember picking that disc up, and it was like purple and green and blue and red and all that, like prism. I'm like, dude, I'm not even using drugs, and I'm high. Look at this. This is beautiful. How do they get music on that? How? Now I'm like, how does this turn that into music? I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. You know something else I can't put my finger on? I don't know if I studied it. I'm sure I could figure it out. How does the financial market work? How does it work?
to the Elon Musk benefit.
Yeah, how does it work? How do you determine the value of a dollar? A piece of paper?
Demand.
Yeah.
And availability.
Yeah, but who manipulates that? Why? I'm trying to stay on the surface level because I don't want to get too deep into a sidebar here. But the price of gold, the price of silver, the price of oil, textiles. Who controls that? Who determines what we get and what the value of what we have is?
Back when there was a gold standard.
Sure.
Gold.
Now who? It's
There is
just.
no standard.
Tell you what, man. I'm gonna. Oh, hold on. I'm not going to say I am not saying that I am going to go home and print money. For the record, I'm saying the answer now is, well, I'll just go print some money. I know I'm not nearly as ignorant as I let on. I understand, Weimar Germany and what Weimar Republic and what happened in Germany in the 20s. I get inflation, and when the debt that was thrown on Germany because of the World War I and what all happened, they hyperinflation, they pump all this stuff into the economy. But I'm like, that is one country out of the whole world. A whole market. Who controls the market? Whoever's in power. That's who. So what is happening here? Solomon controls the market. Whoever holds the silver and gold, the spices, the textiles, the tech, if you will, the horses and mules, controls it all. They hold it all. Sorry. When we talk about wealth, Solomon had it. He had more than anybody else. No one has ever been closer to controlling everything like Solomon. No one has ever done anything near that. And we've seen some incredible things happen. Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan, Chinggis Khan, if you want to see, I'm pretty well educated. Chinggis is actually how you say his name, but I digress. See, another big word. I'm smart. They would come in and take over large swaths of land and then get bored with it. They get bored of it, ruling over all these people and managing these markets, handling all this wealth. It's so stressful. Look at the British Empire. From sea to sea, they controlled everything. But what happens? Someone will come along and take their place. Who took their place? From sea to shining sea, God bless America. We took their place.
We should have been at home.
We said, yeah. Talk about wars over things. Y'all ever heard of tea? Tea and taxes, man. Whew. They went to war over a 2% tax.
On tea only.
On tea only. Jiminy Christmas. You all know this one by heart, don't you? No servant to serve two masters. You'll hate the one above the other. Be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. Is that not true of Solomon? He was all in. For what? Money. I told you a minute ago, the Pharisees wanted to come alongside, or wanted to come back, or wanted to see the resurrection of Solomon's empire. Here's my proof text for that. Pharisees who were lovers of money. Heard all these things that Jesus was saying, and they ridiculed him. They ridiculed him. Why? Because what he said didn't line up with what they wanted. What did they want? They wanted to rule the world. Why did they want to rule the world? Because Solomon had. And they wanted to get that back. They wanted that power, that wealth, that ability to control and manipulate and handle and have everyone coming to them and giving them the gifts and the power and the wealth. Well, time does not afford us the opportunity here tonight to talk about all of the opportunities that Jesus had to correct or to expose the money-loving of the Pharisees. But just hear me out on one. Are y'all familiar with the widow who gave the widow's mite, which was basically a what would you call that? Yeah, it's just a yeah. It's basically charity. I mean, it was something that was given to the widows to help them to be able to try to make ends meet. And she takes that mite, and what does she do with it? She drops it in the tube, in the offering tube. Yeah, and all you heard when it hit the ground was, that was it. You didn't even hear that, did you? Yeah. Exactly. I made a noise, you just couldn't hear it. If you were right up here, you could. And who comes in behind her? Wearing textiles, finest robes. Remember when Jesus says you all want the finest robe? You see where he's going with that now? The lovers of money. And what is he taking? Gold and silver. It's like, I can't use that analogy. That's a bad one. Never mind. That was a terrible analogy. I'm ashamed that I was even going to use that. It's like, someone opening up their wallet and it's just plumb full of cash. Y'all remember what that was? We used to have paper money. And they open up their wallet, and I mean, it's that thick, full of bills. What you don't know is it's $51 bills. not $50 bills or $50, $100. And they want to appear like, so this guy comes, he takes his, it's like breaking 100 into however many pennies that would be and dumping that in the offering. And the whole time making it seem, look at me. Sound like you're out there at the casino in Las Vegas. You know, hit jackpot, man, on those slots. Money just pouring in. And he's announcing himself. And what does Jesus say? I have no idea what you did, but I know what she did. What she did meant nothing to me. Meant nothing to me. Why? Because Jesus wasn't looking for gifts. He wasn't looking for appeasement. Right? You're not going to buy him off. What was Jesus looking for? What did he come to do? Offer himself up as a sacrifice. So we can live. And the sacrifices that God accepts are a broken and contrite heart, a yielded spirit, someone who's earnest for the Lord. When all these people were coming and giving these gifts, these sacrifices to Solomon, Solomon was receiving these gifts or these sacrifices from these people, whether it's taxation or have you, or forced or whatever, contrived. They're giving this stuff to him freely. Solomon is the anti of what Jesus is. The anti. How much did the disciples have to pay to be disciples of Jesus? What was the cost to walk with him? No, I don't mean that figuratively. Yeah, I know, but what was the entry fee? What was that? You didn't have to pay any money. You didn't pay any money. Matter of fact, we were told Jesus he had no place to lay his head. I mean, he didn't own property. So he wasn't looking for money. What was he looking for? He was looking for lost sheep that he could give himself to, as opposed to what he could get out of them. He wanted to give all of himself for them.
Looking for sinners, can you seek and save?
Seeking to save that which was lost. Not to seek and save that which was of value or wealth or power or any of that, but to seek and save that which is lost. Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen whom he stationed in the chariot cities and with the king in Jerusalem. And the king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stone. Wow. And he made cedar as plentiful as the sycamore of the Shephelah. And Solomon's import of horses was from Egypt and Cu, and the king's traders received them from Cu at a price. A chariot could be imported from Egypt for 600 shekels of silver and a horse for 150. And so through the king's traders they were exported to all the kings of the Hittites and all the kings of Syria. Why are we hearing this at the end of this chapter? Why is this included? Why are we hearing this? What is the purpose of this, the point, if you will, of this being included? What do you care about horses? I mean, 600 shekels, that's not a lot. I mean, it's money, but it's not like some huge sum of money. Why are we hearing about this? What does that have to do with anything? Or, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I'll tell you exactly why we hear about it. When you come to the land that the Lord your God has given you, and you possess it and dwell in it, and then say, I will set a king over me, like all the nations that are around me, you may indeed set a king over you, whom the Lord your God will choose, one from among your brothers. You shall set his king over you. You may not put a foreigner over you who is not your brother. Only he may not acquire many horses for himself, or cause the people to return to Egypt in order to acquire many horses. Well, shiver me timbers. Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen. When Solomon gathers, does he gather in small or large increments? Gold, silver. What about the women's? He gathered a large number of women, did he not? So do you think that this is Solomon got 2 chariots and 3 horses? That's not what happened. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Where did he get them from? Where did he get them from? Solomon's import of horses were from Egypt. And it mentions this other city, Q. Your translation may not have Q in there. It may say something else. But this land of, they're calling Q. Can you see it up here? It's right there. This is, it's in, well, it's Turkey, but that was the gateway to, basically to the west. But this area of Q was a huge trading, exporting, importing, if you will, hub. Where did Solomon do his business? On the two bookends of his kingdom. He had two import-outport stations, main land stations, if you will. Egypt and Turkey. And specifically, the reference here to Egypt is the one that is so egregious. Solomon does exactly what he was told not to do. Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Why did Solomon go? I mean, he was told specifically not to do these things. And what did he do? The exact opposite. Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Well, God, you gave me wisdom. You gave me wisdom. Obviously, you want me to build a world empire. So, in order for me to build a world empire, I'm going to have to do something. I have to compromise. Lord, surely you understand that in order for me to be able to build this great kingdom and give these people, they want to eat, they want to live, they want to have wealth and prosperity and peace. So I'm going to have to do business with Egypt. And in order for me I'm going to have to surpass Egypt. In order for me to surpass Egypt, and obviously, God, you want me to surpass Egypt because you brought us out of Egypt and brought us into this land, and now is our time to rule over the people that ruled over us. You've given us victory over our enemies. In order for me to build this kingdom, I'm going to have connections with the various kings of the world, so I'm going to have multiple wives. You get it. You know. You gave me wisdom to know how to do this. And if I'm going to be the king of the world, then I'm going to have to control the gold. And if I control the gold, I'm going to have to own it. I'm going to have it. I'm going to have great quantities of it, mass quantities of it. Therefore, in order for me to be able to do what you want me to do, because I know it's what you want me to do, because it's in my heart, and the heart doesn't lie, I'm going to have to go against these things. But since I am above all and I am the King of Kings, who's going to tell me no? Who's going to tell me no? Y'all familiar with Nebuchadnezzar? Nebuchadnezzar defies God, and for 7 years he roams the earth like a wild animal. His hair's grown out, fingernails grown, looks like a wild beast. Bigfoot. God breaks that man. Every single person that has ever tried to defy God, what happens? What happens to them? They lose. Solomon doesn't think he can lose. I'm David's son. I'm the promised king. You ever broke a promise before? I'm not saying God breaks promises. I'm saying the promised king, he can break. In an effort to rule the world, Solomon has to become partner with him. Now, he doesn't really want to be partners, does he? No, he wants to rule and be above. What do you think the rest of the world is going to think of Solomon and the people of Solomon after this kingdom ends. The very people and the very king who had an opportunity to show the whole world who God was. To reveal to them the character of God, that this is who I am. Right? He has this opportunity to do so. What does he do? He squanders it. For what? To be able to say, I ruled over this earth that God will one day dissolve and do away with. It's like when we sit around and we talk about, I used to be able to dunk a basketball. I could run real fast. I used to win all the beauty pageants. I remember I used to wear a size this and this, you know. Man, at the end of life, do you really think people are thinking back over that basketball game in high school? Or do you think they're looking at the 70 years they lived married to that woman, those children they had, and thinking, man, why was I so selfish? Why did I not do this? And they're looking out and saying, you know, I didn't do it all right, but man, I loved her. I loved her. I loved those kids. And the service that the serving that I did, that's what I look back on. Not me and what I got. I'm afraid that there are many people who are deceived, misled, and they're searching really hard, even as believers, they're searching really hard for happiness in their bank account. If I can just overcome this, if I can just get to this place or this point, then I'll be happy. You won't be happy. If you're trying to hook your happiness to anything in this world, you're becoming partners. You're yoking yourself together. We know what Paul said about yoking ourselves together with unbelievers or with unbelieving things or with things of unbelief. At the end of his life, what does Solomon say? It was all vanity. It's worthless. It means nothing. I have no joy left. I got nothing no return from that. You've heard of the diminishing return. By the time Solomon gets to the end of his life, it's worthless. It means nothing. And what does he say the end of all things is? To love the Lord and keep his commandments. It's the end of all things. You singing for us? Come on. I seriously almost said, are you singing for us, Solomon? I'm not kidding. That was exactly where I was going. You singing for us, Solomon?
Let's go. I've always had thought Solomon taxed the people. This came in. He split the king as he would a kid rule like Here's the thought. Solomon was taxing the daylights out of everybody. Maybe not his people. Maybe he was letting them go. He wasn't taxing them more. And then Rehoboam comes along, and you're already seeing the dimension of their power. And now Rehoboam's like, we've got to keep this going. We're going to tax the people who have all of the wealth. You all familiar with Gaddafi? Gaddafi and where was he at? Where's Gaddafi? Libya. Libya. Do a little research on Libya and Gaddafi. When Gaddafi became king over there, they went from nearly nobody could read to almost 100% literacy. Everyone owned a home and a car. You know what gas costs in Libya today? Oh, it's pennies per gallon. Gas was almost free over there. Almost free. You know why they were able to do that? Because they were selling oil to other nations at a high price. And then all those benefits were coming back home. So you can do a search on Libya and see where I'm going with this. You've got traces of that still that exist today. Gaddafi, what did they do to Gaddafi? It had the desire of all powers. genuine desire to make their people better. But what is always in it? Greed. Greed. You can't win with a dollar or with gold. It's going to get you. Oh, sorry. All right, go ahead. Continue to desire to hear and to learn. Father, I just pray that you'll be with us tonight as we leave here. Keep us safe and help us to continue to hear what it is you're saying. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen, amen, amen. Shannon's a code here or not?